What's up? Welcome back to the channel, folks. My name is Dalton. I ride and race bikes, and today we're breaking down my 2024 and 2025 team race bike. This is the 2024 Ritte Espirit. So of course, we're going to start with the frame set itself. This, like I said, is the 2024 Ritte Espirit. This colorway is the velvet colorway, and it has the nice gold accents that actually match our team kit. The claim to fame with the Ritte is that you don't have to sacrifice aero or comfort with this bike. It's kind of a mixture of both, as most modern geometry frame sets are. Now, diving into a few of the details of the frame set, if you look at the steerer tube, obviously it's not super aero and deep, but it does still have somewhat of an aero profile in the front where it matters. And then as we move towards the rear of the bike, you can see that Ritte chose not to drop the seat stays, lending sort of to that comfort, lightweight look that I was talking about before. Now, just because these details are a little bit different than sort of the standard, everyday, current, modern race bike, doesn't mean that I'm sacrificing anything. I've had absolutely no problems with this thing in criteriums. The bottom bracket is nice and low, and the bottle cages are also mounted pretty low so that your center of gravity is pretty low on the bike. Corners, absolutely no problem. But at the same time, I can go out for a 125-mile cruise on this thing, and it handles like a dream. It's super comfortable. So this is my all-around get-it-done bike. I race this thing all the time, but in a long road race or a super short crit, doesn't matter, this thing does the job. Moving up to the saddle here, I am running the Specialized Power Saddle. This is the saddle that fits my sit bone geometry, so I will probably always run this saddle, except for on my track and TT bike where I have a little bit more forward pelvic rotation, then I run an ISN saddle. But for this bike and the standard everyday bike, power saddle is where it's at. Moving on to the seat post here, guys, nothing really special to talk about. Mine is like the standard -20 or whatever offset. Maybe could have gone with a 0 offset seat post based on my fit, but nonetheless, did the standard offset and it's fine thus far. The one thing that I do want to gripe a little bit about that I don't necessarily love about this particular bike is the round seat post choice, and more specifically the wedge system. So a typical clamp system holds these round seat posts really well. The wedge system with the round seat post is tough to navigate. A lot of the fellas had trouble with their seat post slipping early on. So a quick trick recommended by Matt the mechanic down at Switchback Fellow is to put some emery cloth inside the frame here so that your seat post stops slipping. We also over torqued it a little bit beyond what the manufacturer recommendation is, and now my seat post has not slipped in the last 1,000 whatever miles. Moving forward then to the cockpit, I am pretty much as slammed as you can get on the integrated other cockpit coming from Ritte. So other is Ritte's own interior carbon brand, and they make pretty solid range of sizes for your cockpit. My particular bars are 38 centimeters wide with a 120 millimeter stem. I believe this is a positive 6-degree rise on your stem angle, so it's a little bit more relaxed, but that's part of the reason that I have this thing all the way slammed. I don't know if I will keep this setup forever, but so far going to 120 and 38 wide has been really comfortable for me. I can get extremely aero on this bike with no problems, a little bit of elbow bend. I do like being a little bit shortened up compared to what I'm used to. I was previously running 130 millimeter stem, and I would think I was 37 at the hoods with a 42 flare because I was running the MV-SES Aero bar. I'm not sure, like I said, that I'll maintain the other integrated cockpit here, but I do love all the interior cable routing and everything. It makes it really clean from the front end, and I absolutely love the way that this all looks on the bike. The only reason I would change anything out is for fitment reasons, just because I might want to go a little longer in the front end, and Ritte only offers the 120, and that's intentional. They believe that, of course, your bike should fit the way it was designed. So 120 is sort of their maximum on stem length. I might go a little longer than that, like I said, but for now, this works great and I love it. It feels very tight. It's locked in, and I have had absolutely zero problems with handling. So I might leave it alone. I'm not sure yet. Jury's still out. Okay. Moving on down here, we can start to talk about the lower half of the bike. Bottle cages, nothing special on these bottle cages. I used to run Supacaz carbon cages, and when I was looking for new ones, they were pretty pricey, and I had previously pulled these AliExpress carbon bottle cages off of my time trial bike because I hardly ever use them. I only use them during training. And lo and behold, I ended up really liking the way they looked on this bike, and they match my chain rings, which is really cool. So I stuck with these. They're pretty cheap from AliExpress. I'll try and find the link and throw it in the description for you guys if that's something you're interested in. Moving on now to the group set. I am running SRAM Rival. There's not a ton of weight loss, in my opinion, when you get to the derailleurs and everything else. I think a majority of the weight differential comes in the actual Rival crankset, but of course I'm not running the Rival crankset. So Rival front derailleur, Rival rear derailleur. I think these are SRAM Force rotors. The rotor spec is 160 in the front, 140 in the rear. Some mechanic at some race tried to tell me that that was not standard. Some mechanics I've talked to recently have disagreed. So tell me what you think. Is 160 standard? Let me know in the comments below. I think it's 160, 140 because you want more stopping power up front. And that's sort of what all the manufacturers sell standard from my understanding. So, I may be wrong, but yeah. SRAM Rival brake calipers. Nice fancy new pads. Nothing crazy or spectacular there. But the crankset. This is where I really enjoy having some freedom on this build. So the rear cassette is a SRAM red cassette, and actually, you know what, I think this is my Force cassette. I have a red and a Force. Let me okay, rear cassette is a SRAM red cassette. It's a 10 to 33 tooth in the back. Obviously that means I have to run the SRAM 12-speed flat top chain, and I've got, this is my favorite part of the bike, honestly, I have Carbon Ti 5037 front chain rings, and that's mated up with a Stone Manufacturing aero spider that converts the like 5x130 setup of the Carbon Ti chain rings for axis over to these SRAM Force cranks that I had. The SRAM Force cranks are 172.5s. I might swap these out in the future for 167.5s or 165s. I'm not 100% sure just yet, but I would like a little more clearance between my pedal and a ground strike when I'm pedaling through corners, because I typically do find the limit and strike a pedal when I'm racing crits. We can talk a little bit about the bottom bracket. The bottom bracket is a T47 threaded bottom bracket on the Ritte. I really do like that they went with that spec. It is pretty classic. I know a lot of the modern stuff is press fit, but I haven't had any creaking or issues or the bottom bracket backing out or sliding or slipping like so many of my friends have had on a lot of their bikes. I ran a T47 SRAM Dub ceramic speed bottom bracket, and so far I absolutely love the thing. It's pretty crazy how free spinning this is. If I were to take off one of my pedals, the crank drops straight downward, which is super wild. There's just really not a lot of resistance coming from your bottom bracket in there. So that's a cool little feature that we added in there. Shout out to Ceramic Speed for that hookup. We appreciate y'all. The next feature here is my power meter, aka my pedals. Look Keo cleats. I run the 0 degree float, and those pop into my Favero Asioma Duos. I actually thought for a long time that I didn't need the Duos because the Unos were doing me just fine. And so the Uno Duo situation is obviously one-sided on the left versus dual-sided left and right. And this entire time, I thought that I was putting out pretty equivalent power, and boy, was I wrong. So after collecting some of the data, it seems that I was putting out almost 55-45 left to right. So that was quite an adjustment. Since I've gotten the Duos, I've actually balanced that out quite a bit, and majority of the time now I'm seeing closer to like 57. The other way around actually. I was at 57.43, and I've since gotten that down to like 55.45, or sometimes 54.46, and then lately I've been seeing closer to 58. Sorry, the other way around, 52.48. So my balance on my power output has gotten a lot better since I've had the Favero Asioma duos. One thing I forgot to mention on the cockpit here is that I'm running SRAM Rival shifters. I really like the hoods that SRAM Rival comes with. They're a little bit longer than what your Shimano hoods look like, and I really do like the way that they grip. It gives me a little more reach out in front. And something that is new to this bike that I've not had before is the SRAM Blip sprint shifters. These SRAM Blip sprint shifters have been a game changer for me. I really enjoy being able to, funny enough, not just in sprints is where they matter. Descending, being able to shift down in the drops before corners and shift up before corners or whatever I need to do has been instrumental in my descending game. And at the same time, being able to brake after coming down a hill, coming up to a stop sign, stoplight, or just needing to stop and then corner, anything like that, being able to brake and shift down simultaneously, who'd have thunk that that would be so important and so convenient with sprint shifters? But let me tell you, it is, because oftentimes when I'm braking that hard and I'm in the drops, it's tough to shift down. But I can shift down successfully. That way when I start up at the stoplight, I'm not in my highest gear like an idiot. The Wahoo mount, that's really no surprise to anyone. That is the mount that comes with the integrated bar. I do have a K-Edge adapter underneath to mount my GoPro to when I want to run a GoPro in a race. And honestly, guys, I am going back to the bar-mounted GoPro. The helmet thing was cool for a while, and I love the perspective. But at the end of the day, it is kind of heavy on your head, and I'm not even worried about the aerodynamic losses. It's just kind of exhausting. And lately, I've had a little bit of a pinch in my left shoulder, and I think part of it is wearing the freaking GoPro on my head all the time during racing season. So, eliminating that, going back to the bars, I don't know, man. That's just how I feel. Okay, now to the team wheels. These are the brand new Scalar 50/58 Elite Road Wheelset. I really like the whole mullet situation going on here. 50 in the front is a little bit more forgiving in crosswind, so you're not getting quite so buffeted. And the 58 in the rear, obviously for aero gains, is money. Scalar did a great job with the profile of these rims. They're 24 mil ID, and the airfoil design of them is just money. I have 30s on here, which is about what these wheels are optimized for. 28 to 30 is kind of the sweet spot there. And the tires, the GP5000s that I'm running, blow up to about 31.6 for a super smooth ride and absolutely no issues cornering. I can lay this thing over so hard, and I have absolutely no worries that I'm going to go sliding out. Speaking of slide outs, these rims are hooked. They are not hookless rims. That is important to me because I want to know that kind of no matter what tire I run, I'm going to be safe, and I'm not going to roll the tire right off the rim like we've seen happening in some crits recently on some other, I'm not going to name any names, brands, hookless rim technology. So shout out to Scalar for the hooked rims. The 50/58 mullet thing, like I said, good idea. These are set up tubeless. I don't remember what sealant I put in here, but it's been successful so far. I've sprayed a little bit of sealant on myself, and others have sprayed some sealant on me, and I need to get that off my bike, but I had struggled with that today, so I need to pop over to the shop and get some of the Goo Gone, whatever, that Corey has, because I know that'll take care of business. I guess we can talk about the spokes real quick. These are Sapim CX bladed spokes, more aero gains, and they're connected to the rims via brass nipple. And the reason that we choose brass is because they're a little bit more corrosion resistant. I do live here on the coast, and I ride a lot on the coast, so corrosion resistance is important. And they're really durable, stable, and they'll be here for the long haul. We have some extra spokes in case we pop them, but Really happy with these so far. The wheels are super true and well built, and I honestly have never ridden a wheel set this clean. I am known for beating wheel sets up. I've exploded wheel sets, and I will say so far the Scalars have been able to withstand my antics absolutely no problem. They're laced up to some DT Swiss 240 hubs, a little bit of an upgrade from the standard DT 350 that I believe Scalar standard builds these with. I really like the DT 240 hubs. They feel super quick to engage in the rear. So overall, really happy with the build on these wheels. Like I said, I am running 30s, and they do blow up to about 31.6. And if you check the ID of the front and rear rims, it works out perfectly to be within that 15% rule, making sure that you're maximizing your aerodynamics. Overall, guys, that is the bike breakdown. This bike in particular is very special to me. I have had one carbon bike in the past, and that carbon bike just didn't quite feel like mine, and I hadn't had it built exactly how I wanted to, and I was limited by some external factors on that bike. But I finally got the Carbon Ti Chainrings set up, and I can fully customize this thing. Like I said, Ritte has completely outdone themselves with the frame set. The Scalar wheels absolutely go off with the white logos. And honestly, overall, I just love the colorway. I love the bike. It feels so tight and compliant. I started out with a Specialized LA Elite. That was my first ever bike. And after that, I upgraded to the LA Sprint and did my fair share of crit banging on that thing. And that was a great, compliant, stiff bike. And honestly, I never had comfort issues with it. I moved to my next bike, which was my first carbon bike, and while it was extremely aero, it felt a little bit sloppier, for lack of a better word. I think that it was just more on the open mold side of things, and maybe there was a little less QC involved in the frame set and all the components. But nonetheless, like I said, this bike is freaking dialed. I am so happy with everything on it. I'm super happy with the colorway. It matches our team kits awesome. They're extremely unique, being velvet in this almost purple colorway. It's not just yet another black bike. No hate on all y'all's black bikes, but this is not that. Shout out to everybody that's, contributed to the team and over the years and been able to get us to the point where we could make these bikes happen for everybody. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate every single one of you guys who watches this channel and who has subscribed, liked, commented, whatever. You guys are the realists, and I wouldn't be able to make all these things happen, and I probably would not be riding this bad boy if it weren't for you all. So thanks again, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, since you guys will not leave me the frick alone, we'll do the whole weight thing for y'all. All right, so 166 pounds right now, no bike. Okay, let's go ahead, pick this thing up and see what we got. 184 even with the bike. So we are looking at 18 pounds. Oh, now I went 43. Yeah, so 166 to 184, just under 20 pounds. You're at 18 pounds. I don't know why you guys are obsessed with weight. Doesn't even matter. As soon as I put water bottles on here, and as soon as I put myself on here, and as soon as I put all the other janky heavy stuff that I ride with on my bike on here, and a GoPro on the front and all that, it's not gonna matter anyway. All right, there's your bonus content. Bye. 18 pounds in kilos real quick from my friends overseas. 8.18, 8.2-ish kilos. If you want to see some recent crit racing, check out this video right here. And if you guys have not yet heard, we have started a pretty cool podcast with some really interesting folks. Maybe check out a couple of those episodes right here. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next video. Take care.